Hello students, as I said before, in our chemistry we use one particular term repeatedly and that is matter. So let's understand what is matter. What is meant by this matter and what are the different ways we can classify this matter, and all these things we'll learn in this particular video. So let's start. Now we are going to discuss about matter. What is matter? Okay, so let's learn about it. Matter is something that occupies, matter is anything that occupies some space and has some mass. Okay, anything around us that occupies some space, it has a volume and it has some mass. Okay, so if you see, everything around us is matter. The air is matter, the pen, the pencil, the book, food, water, everything is matter, because all these things are they're having some mass and they're also occupying some volume, right? So anything in this universe that has some mass and occupies a volume is known as matter. Okay, so let's see the different ways in which the matter is classified. First we'll see the physical classification. Physical classification. So matter is divided into three types. One is solid, and other is liquid, and the third one is gas. Okay, so this is the physical classification. That depends upon, like here if you see, this only difference is the arrangement of atoms. The arrangement of atoms and molecules. Okay, so if you see, the intermolecular space is different. In solids we have very less intermolecular space, interatomic space. In liquid we have relatively more. In gas there is a large separation. The intermolecular or interatomic distance is high. Okay, so if you see, the separation between the particles is different in these three states. Okay, so the matter is physically classified into solids, liquids and gases, and all these have the same chemical composition. That means if you take water, the liquid, in liquid state it has water molecules, and even if you cool it, it will become ice, but it still contain water molecules. So there is no any change in the chemical composition. Similarly, when you heat it, it will become a gas, and the gas still contain water molecules, right? So there is only change in physical state, but the chemical composition is not going to be varied. So that's why I'm calling it as a physical classification. Okay, so on the other hand, matter is also classified, that is a chemical classification. Okay, so matter is classified as classified into pure substances and mixtures. Okay, so pure substance and mixtures. Pure substances are further classified into elements and compounds. Mixtures is further classified into homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Okay, so matter it's classified into pure substance and mixtures depending upon whether the components are able to separate physically or not. So in mixtures we have components, we have more than one component, and these components can be separated by physical means. But in pure substances they cannot be separated by physical means. Okay, so let's discuss about the pure substance and mixtures in detail. So the pure substances can be elements, can be compounds. Okay, so elements, oxygen, hydrogen and iron, all these are elements. And compounds, water is a compound, ammonia, table salt, all these are compounds. Okay, so basically pure substances are those substances or material that consists of only one type of atoms or molecules. Okay, so if I have a substance that is containing only one type of molecules, then that is a pure substance. It does not contain any other impurities. It only contains one type of atoms or molecules. So if you see oxygen, it contains only oxygen atoms. Hydrogen, it contains only hydrogen atoms, right? So it contains no other thing it contains. It only contains hydrogen atoms. So that's why these are pure substances and these are elements. So element is, it is just a union of same atoms. I said that pure substances, they contain only a single type of atoms, right? If they contain atoms, if they contain only atoms, then we call them as elements. If they contain molecules, only single type of molecules, then we call them as compounds. So water, if you take water only contain H2O molecules, then this is known as compounds. Okay, so elements contains atoms, same atoms, and compounds contain same type of molecules. Okay, so this is about pure substances, and these elements, they react with each other and they form compounds. Okay, because hydrogen and oxygen, they react, the chemical reaction will take place and they form compounds. Similarly, the table salt is formed by the reaction of sodium and chlorine. Okay, now let us see mixtures. Mixtures are more common in nature. The pure substances are rare. Mixtures are very common. If you see the air is a mixture. It contains gases, different type of gases, different gases it contains. So the mixtures can be classified into homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures. Okay, homogeneous mixtures, the solutions are called homogeneous mixtures because the composition is uniform throughout the mixture. The composition is uniform throughout the mixture. Okay, so if you take salt water, if you take salt, if you add the salt to water, and you will get, if you mix, you will get a solution, that is a salt water solution, and it only contains a single phase. The composition is uniform. Even you cannot able to see the salt particle even under the microscope. You cannot see because it contains only liquid phase it contains, because the solid, it completely mixes up. It only physically mixes up with the solution, with the water. There is no any chemical reaction takes place during the formation of mixture. No. If you add NaCl to water, what happens is NaCl will be completely mixed up, and that is only physically mixed up, and there is no any chemical reaction that takes place between sodium chloride and water, and no new substance are formed. So this is not a chemical chain, it is just a physical chain. And mouthwash and even all alloys, they contain metals, combination of metals and non-metals. These are also homogeneous mixtures. Okay, so homogeneous means it should contain only one phase, right? Its composition should be uniform throughout. You cannot able to see two different phases. Okay, and whereas on the other hand, heterogeneous mixtures, they don't have a constant composition or uniform composition throughout the mixture. The composition vary from place to place within the mixture. Okay, so these are known as heterogeneous mixtures, and examples are pizza and Italian salad dressing. And if you take sand plus water, okay, if you take sand particles and if you add that to water, you will see the two different phases. One is solid phase, that is sand, and other is liquid phase, right? It contains two different phases. So its composition is not uniform throughout. So it is not called as homogeneous mixture. It is known as heterogeneous mixtures. Okay, so mixtures, the components can be separated by physical means. Okay, whereas in pure substances, you cannot separate the components by physical means. If you take water, you cannot simply separate that hydrogen and oxygen in water by physical means. You have to do chemical methods. They are only separated by chemical ways, not by physical means. Okay, so but mixtures, the components can be separated by physical means because they have different physical properties. Okay, if you take the salt water, the salt can be separated from water by evaporation, right? Because they have different boiling points. So that's why we can able to separate the components of mixture by the difference in physical properties. Okay, so pure substance, I already discussed. The pure substance is a material that is composed of only one type of atoms or molecules. Yeah, in this case, if you see, it consists only one type of atoms. Here it consists only one type of molecules. Nothing else is present. Only one single molecule is there, and that is repetitive. So many molecules of single type are present. Okay, so these all are pure substances. Okay, the pure substances are classified into elements and compounds. We have elements, that is atoms, that iron, neon, all these are atoms, and molecules we have the nitrogen and oxygen. Okay, so these are, one is elements, another is compounds. The the compounds, they contain molecules, and molecules are formed by two or more than two different types of atoms. If you see here, the molecule CO2 is formed by carbon and oxygen, the water is formed by hydrogen and oxygen, right? So compounds, they contain molecules, or they contain ions. So these are covalent compounds, and these are ionic compounds. Ionic compounds, NaCl is an ionic compound which contain Na plus ions and Cl minus ions. Okay, so this is also the pure substances. So it's about pure substances, and the compounds. The compound is a substance which can be decomposed into two or more dissimilar substances, right? The compounds, it contains molecules, and the compound it can be decomposed into two or more different dissimilar substances. Let's take an example. Like if you take an example, water, like this is a compound, and it can be decomposed on heating. On decomposition, it forms hydrogen and oxygen, and both are two dissimilar elements, two dissimilar substances. Okay, so water is a compound, but hydrogen alone is not a compound. Hydrogen is an element, it's not a compound. Okay, so you can see with the two water molecules, when we heat them, they form two hydrogen molecules and one oxygen molecules. So here water is decomposing into two dissimilar substances. Okay, so this is about compound. And mixtures. Mixture contains two or more components. It may contain two components, it may contain more than two components. Homogeneous mixture, it is same or uniform composition throughout the mixture. The air it's a mixture of gases like oxygen, nitrogen and carbon dioxide, and it is a homogeneous mixture because its composition is uniform throughout. Okay, one more example is salt and water. Okay, when you add the salt to water, after mixing, you can see only water. No salt particles are visible to you. Okay, so which is a homogeneous mixture. And heterogeneous mixture, they contain different compositions in different phases. Oil plus water, you can take oil plus water, which is a heterogeneous mixture, which are not they're not completely mixed up with each other. So the composition is not uniform throughout. So it is a heterogeneous mixture. Okay, so this is all about matter and the classification of matter, pure substances and mixtures. Okay, so students, in this particular part we discussed about what is matter, and we also discussed about the different ways of classification of matter. First we see physical classification, and then we saw chemical classifications, and in chemical classification we also discussed about what is a pure substance and what is a mixture, and under pure substance we discussed about elements and compounds, and under mixtures we discussed about what is homogeneous mixture and what is heterogeneous mixture, and this is all we learned in this particular part. So in our next part we'll discuss about the 5 crucial laws that govern the combination of the chemical compounds. So stay tuned for my next video.